of books, and we're so excited to talk about this. I know you're probably super excited to talk about this.
Yeah.
So we were having some technical difficulties, but we are ready to go ahead and get started. So as usual, we're going to start with our initial thoughts, which are going to be spoiler free. And then after that, we go into spoilers. So if you haven't read this book, then I highly recommend going to read it and then watching this live show. So would you like to go ahead with your first initial thoughts?
Sure. All right. So, but in case anybody's wondering, this is the UK edition of the book because I love this cover way more than the the US cover. But anyway, I just finished reading this book like maybe an hour ago. No, a little bit like maybe an hour and a half ago, and I have to say, after Chloe said that she only gave this book 3 stars, I was not expecting. I was expecting to not like this book as much, but to be honest, I loved it. It was so good, and I don't think I loved it as much as the first 2 books. I definitely feel like the other 2 books were definitely more. I felt more connected to the characters, and the story was more action packed and really fast paced. Not that this book wasn't, but I just like something about the other 2 books was just a lot more fun for me to read. But I still really enjoyed this book. It was quite an adventure, and the ending was really fantastic with the battle and the war and things that were revealed. And it was really good. I still haven't rated this book. It's kind of hovering between a 4.5 to 5 star rating.
So I did not give it 3 stars because I didn't like it. I gave it 3 stars because that it was just an okay.
It, though.
What?
Didn't love it though, right?
I didn't love it, but to me, it was just an okay book. Like whenever I have a book that's just okay to me, it's just 3 stars. And
what did you give the first 2 books?
Oh, I don't remember. I think one was like a 4. Maybe the other one was a 4. I'd have to look. But I need to be in the mood to read stuff like this. And I guess I wasn't in like the right mindset to read this book, which does not make it a bad book at all. I still enjoyed my time reading it and enjoyed being in this world again. I did listen to the audio book because I was worried if I read it regularly, I wouldn't get it done in time. But in the end, it was just an okay book for me, and I feel like there's a lot of fantasy that's like that. Is this fantasy?
Yeah, this is fantasy.
Okay. Then there's a lot of fantasy that's like that for me. It's just who I am. So that's why I give it 3 stars, because it's an okay book. It's not a bad book. It was just okay for me. Yeah, that's it. So I guess now we're gonna get into spoilers. So I'm sure you have something to say about this book. Do you have something?
Honestly, I keep going back to the ending where she has the baby. I was not expecting there be like a not graphic, but it was pretty detailed pregnancy, like labor scene. Like most of the time in a young adult book, if someone's pregnant and they're about to have the baby, they're gonna be like 30 minutes later there's the baby, or 2 hours later there's the baby. But it was pretty detailed and graphic, and honestly it's on one of the most for me it was one of the most impactful scenes, because it was, I don't know why it stuck with me, but it did. And I really also liked the scene when her sister was poisoned, and the blood strike, she had to heal both her sister and the unborn child, and she was like contemplating how she was going to find his song in order to heal him, and she was like deciding, I'm going to have to like influence him in some way in order to heal him. I don't understand that scene very well, but I like that she chose like the best parts of her mother and herself, and then she also chose the best parts of the father, who obviously is the emperor, and she does not like him, but she kind of chose like some of the best parts about him for the baby. And so I really liked those scenes.
Imagine listening to the birth scene. That's what happened to me. I don't remember where I was when I listened to that, but I remember it. And then I also remember the poisoning scene, and I remember exactly where I was. I had my headphones in, and I was grocery shopping. While I was listening to that, and I was just like, oh, yep, that sticks out.
Yeah.
I found that, I mean, it's been a year since I've read the second book.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of like having to remember certain things that happened in the second book. Not like specific things, but like I forgot that Keenan was the Nightbringer.
Yeah.
And that him and Laya had like, I don't want to say a relationship, but like I don't know how to say it.
Yeah.
Like a moment.
Yeah.
Together. But that was like, if it wasn't the last book, it was the book before that. First book. Are there supposed to be 4 books in this series?
There's 4 books, there's one more book. But yeah, there were quite a few things that I forgot. I actually had to Google a lot of things because I forgot who, like, some not who the main characters were. Like, I remember that Keenan was the Nightbringer, but I forgot who some of the side characters were. Like, I forgot who Harper was. I forgot who were like the other soldiers that the Blood Strike worked with. So I had to kind of like Google and like search them up to see who they were.
So help me understand this, because I forgot or was confused by it. Is Cook her mom?
Yes.
Okay. I thought that was right, but I wasn't sure, because at one point they were referencing like her as her mother, and then at one point they were saying, oh, Cook, and I'm just like, are they 2 different people? Are they the same person? What's happening?
Yeah, so we find out like at the very end when there's a battle, and you know how the Blood Strike, she gives up her mask for the Nightbringer, and then she kind of like, she sees that her sister was able to get away. So she gives up, and she was about to like sacrifice herself for the incoming enemy troops. And so she, while she's sacrificing herself, Laya and the cook go and pick her up. They see her by herself and they go and try to get her, but the enemies are kind of closing in, and Cook decides to stay behind and let them run away. And remember, like, the Blood Strike she like woke up and she was like, was that your mom? And she was like, yeah, or something like that. I don't remember. But yeah.
So we've basically we've seen her mom in all 3 books. We just didn't know it was her mom until the end of this one, basically.
Which I was surprised. I didn't see it coming. I didn't know that. Like, that was one thing I didn't see it coming.
Yeah, because like I remember when I was reading this book, I had started doing more hours at work. So I was listening at any point I can. Like, I was listening on my lunch break, but it was like really short spurts. So like getting all the information and then, working for another like 4 or 5 hours and then listening again, it's like, wait, what happened?
Right.
Yeah, because I try to finish on the end of a chapter, but like in a 30-minute lunch break, if I can't finish on the end of a chapter, then nothing I can do about it.
Yeah, and I feel like these books, because they also added, was Blood Strike's perspective in the second book?
Yes.
Was it? Okay. I feel like having 3 different, perspectives also added to the book, and it made the book more dense.
Yeah.
I understand with you like not remembering all the details, because I do feel, especially with this book, it was super dense. There were so many things happening, and it was 3 different perspectives, so they were all happening at the same time. So you had to keep up with what's happening with the other one in order to remember what's happening with this one. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why I don't enjoy reading fantasy as much as I used to, is because there's just so much information that you have to keep and process and remember, and it's too much work. I had a question and I can't remember it.
What did you think of the Emperor dying at the end, finally? I was honestly, when he died, because remember, I don't know if you remember, because it's been a while since you read this book, right? It's been like
it's been like a week.
A week. So at the end, he stays with his soldiers, and he lets his wife and the Blood Strike escape. He tells her to protect the Empress because she has the heir, blah blah blah. And then, but obviously, we all know the Blood Strike comes back, and she sees him that he's dying. And I honestly, that scene made me feel bad for him, even though like I hate him so much because he's so mean. But I honestly really felt bad for him, and I was almost like, there was a moment where where Helene was gonna she thought that he was gonna ask her to heal him, and instead he asks for mercy, and I was like, he's finally showing like some shred of humanity, and I really felt bad for him. Like I really did.
I thought she was gonna heal him, and I was like, please don't. Just don't.
And all this time, towards the end of the book, we find out there's like a very small scene where Elias being the ghost, the soul catcher, whatever, and he's soul catching Marcus, and his brother's ghost is behind him, listening to the whole thing. This whole time, I thought Marcus was hallucinating. I thought that he went crazy when his brother died, and he was hallucinating his brother with him. But in this book, we find out that it's actually his brother's ghost is haunting him. So I was super surprised by that. I honestly thought that he had like gone crazy, and he was just hallucinating his brother being there.
Yeah. It was, the whole thing was kind of just weird to me. Like whenever he would like start talking to his brother.
No. Yeah, that was an interesting experience. So.
I'm very well. I don't know. I feel like because I forgot about the Nightbringer, so I felt like this could have been like the final book, but then we've gotten past the Emperor, so now we need to get past the Nightbringer, and that's the last book, I guess.
Yeah, because he finally got like the last half of the star, whatever, which was her mask.
Mask, yeah. Do you think she's gonna be on their side now and help them?
Yeah, definitely. The only thing I was mad is that there was this beautiful moment between her and Harper at the end when they kissed, and then she like dissed him. Like she realized what she was doing, she dissed it, and I was so mad. And I was like, why don't you allow this to happen? I don't understand why you don't allow this to happen. Because he obviously cares about her, and she obviously cares somewhat about him, and I just don't understand,
Excuse me. This is really, really random. But what color do you think the next book is gonna be? The first one is like a reddish. The second one is blue, and this one is green. What's the last one gonna be?
Wait, what was the first two?
Well, I'm going off the new covers.
Yeah.
So one is like a reddish orange. The second one is blue, and this one is green. I think the next one is gonna be yellow.
That's what I was gonna say. I mean, it would be the only color that I think would fit the color scheme that she's going for.
This is also random, but I don't picture Helene like this. She's white. In my head, she's white, but she's not a blonde.
Yeah, but in the books, like I remember distinctly in some of like I think in the first book, saying that she had blonde hair, but it was described as like her hair was super light, like it was almost like platinum blonde hair. So
I don't know. I think it's because the audiobook narrator for her voice has a very distinct voice. So I don't know. I just associate her as being like a dark, not like your hair color, but like maybe like yours, but like a little bit more like reddish and lighter. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I whenever I read her, even though I knew she was blonde from the beginning, whenever I read her, I don't imagine her as blonde.
Yeah. And like I already have this like established picture of Laya in my head that doesn't look like this. So it's like I don't know if should I picture this? Should I picture the established picture I have? Like I don't know what to do.
I think like the cover, it looks like Sabaa Tahir. Like the Laya in the cover looks like Sabaa Tahir.
Yeah, like a teenage Sabaa Tahir.
Yeah, like a teenage Sabaa Tahir.
That's funny.
So what was your most memorable moment besides the birth?
I remember the scene where like a nurse came in to check the baby, and she's like, "Oh, you need XYZ," and then as soon as she left, the sister's like, "Kill her." I think I was at the grocery store when that happened too.
Yeah. I love that you read while you're doing like errands.
Normally I don't, because I normally don't have my my headphones in my bag. And if I do have my headphones in my bag, I don't have the connector for the iPhone. And this time, because I've been taking them to work, I happened to have both of them, and I had to go to the grocery store, so I just was like, this is perfect. Let's listen.
So, what did you think about Elias's character? Honestly, the one reason why I don't like this book as much as the others is that he frustrated me a lot. Like in the beginning, they kept telling him to let go of your human life. You gotta do this, and he would just abandon his duties as the next soul catcher in order to go deal with it, which is nice. He wanted to help the people in the important people in his life in the human world, but I feel like because he neglected his duties, it was the reason why the souls were able to
Mm-hmm.
it's
Well,
like like the meme that shows up, I have all of this to do, I have all this homework to do, but instead I'm gonna go to bed.
yeah.
I feel like that's what he did. He's like, I have all of these souls that I need to move on, to pass to the next life, whatever. But instead, I'm gonna go do something else.
Well, like, is he ever gonna is he gonna come back to Laya?
I hope so, because
Oh.
I don't know. I hope so. And his boss or whatever that guy is called. I wonder, like,
Oh.
I wonder what's gonna happen between him and if he's gonna become like a bigger part in bringing down the Nightbringer. Like if he's gonna help them do something about the night, I don't know.
They're gonna use all the ghosts to attack the Nightbringer. I don't know. I wonder, is there any information about the next book? I'm gonna look.
No, I mean, if it's anything like Sabaa Tahir, it won't come out till 2020. This book came out like almost 2 years after she released the second book.
Really?
And remember, she kept pushing this release date back. She pushed it back like twice.
But I thought the second one came out last year.
Did it? I don't think it did. Let me double check.
I don't know. I'm checking this or whatever this is. My Goodreads is so out of date. Like, it still says I'm reading a book that I DNF'd like a week ago.
Yeah, it was published in August of 2016, the second book.
Oh, wow.
So this book came almost 2 years later.
Untitled by Sabaa Tahir.
Expected publishing date 2019. Yeah, let's hope so.
Yep, I don't know what's happening. I got nothing. You got anything else? I figured you would have, like, you love this series so much.
I do. It was a I don't know. It was a really, really, really good book. I do feel like the first half of the book moved a little bit more slowly, even though I enjoyed the book a lot. Like the first half, it took me a while to really, really be invested in the book as much as as much as I usually am with Sabaa Tahir's books. So maybe that's why I don't love the book as much as I love the first two. But I don't know, that ending was so good with the war and like the ghost possessing the soldiers and then the soldiers turning on each other, and it was just so.
Is the Commandant working with the Nightbringer?
So, yes, in a way. Well, he kept saying that she works for him. So they were using each other to get what they wanted, because the Nightbringer wanted Helene's mask. And then the Commandant was using him with his supernatural abilities in order to conquer, all of those cities, because she wants to rule the world. It's basically what we find out at the end. She wants to become the Commandant or the Empress of all these cities, all these colonies, all these lands, whatever. So I think they were using each other. So. But yeah, she was technically like with him.
Okay. Yeah, because like I know we're dealing with the Nightbringer, we're dealing with the Covenant, and I'm like, I don't know if you're working together, if you're separate, what is happening.
Yeah, so in the next book, we're dealing with both the Nightbringer and the Commandant because she's technically hasn't been dealt with either. So, but yeah, that's all I got. I mean, I enjoyed the book. I think I'm gonna give it 4.5 stars.
4.5. What did you gave the first one 5, and what was the second one? Do you
I
know?
gave the other one 5 too.
Kind of now I'm curious what I gave it. And I love it. I was just on Goodreads and I didn't look. I'm so tired. It's been a long day. Let's see. The first one I gave it 4.5.
That's pretty good for
You
you
said
for a fantasy. Yeah, that's pretty good.
yeah. I've read all of them in audiobook form. And the other one, second one, I gave 4. So it just slowly goes down for me. 4.5, 4, 3.
I can't wait until you read the rest of the Throne of Glass series because I want to know what your reactions are. Because the series, because you said you read the first 2 books, right? Yeah, the series goes in a completely different direction after those 2 books.
I don't want to think about reading those books because that is going to take forever. I might just wait until the last one comes out and then just read all of them.
Don't do that too.
Yeah, I don't want to do that to myself, but maybe I could read like 1 or 2 a month.
Yeah.
Like months to read it. Was it? Yeah, like 8 months, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 months. Yeah, including.
I feel like you should reread Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight.
I'm going to. I need to. Because like I remember Throne of Glass. I read it for like a book club, and we did a live show on it. This was years and years and years ago when it like first came out. And I remember a lot of the not a lot of the book, but like I remember a lot of the feelings of the book and the second book, and just going into the third book, like reading like I read like 100 pages of it, and seeing the difference. Like I know it's gonna be so different, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. So.
Yeah, no, yeah. The after Air 5, I feel like the series really changes on the 4th book with Queen of Shadows, but Air of Fire it starts heading that way. You know, yeah, it's completely different from the first book. So, and it's super like the last few books is super high fantasy. So, yeah.
I think so right now we're in summer, so I really just want to read like a ton of contemporary books. But whenever in fall, like going towards winter, I like to read fantasy, especially like I've said this in videos before. I like to read things with monarchies in them. So maybe I'll read it in the fall. We'll see.
Well, the last book is coming out in what, October or something? Yeah.
Sabaa or not Sabaa? Has Sarah J. Maas had her baby yet? Has she said anything?
Yeah.
She did? Oh yeah, she had a baby in like May, I think.
Yeah. I feel like she posted a picture of him on Instagram.
I'm on Instagram right now.
All right. Do you have any final thoughts?
June 7th. Where have I been? And I liked how the baby name is something like I could totally see written in a book by her.
Yep.
Okay. Final thoughts. I gave it 3 stars, and it was just an okay book for me. That's all I've got.
So hold on, let me ask you a question. What could have been better? What could Sabaa Tahir change this book to make it at least a 4-star for you?
It's not really what Sabaa Tahir could change. It's more what we could have changed, and that's what month we decided to read this book.
Are you really that much of like a seasonal reader?
Yeah, it's so weird. Like I'm a mood.
I read what I want to read.
I'm a mood and a seasonal reader, so like it could like normally this time it's like contemporary, fun, light, fluffy stuff. I love reading that, and then like randomly I'll like pick up like a fantasy and like really enjoy it during that time. But no, summer is like really contemporary stuff for me. Like in June, I read 3 books and 2 of them were contemporaries. And like right now the book I'm reading is a contemporary. So just a lot of contemporary.
All right. So I gave this book. I'm gonna give this book 4.5 stars. I loved it. I really enjoyed the book, especially the ending. The ending of this book was explosive. It was really fantastic, and I was like, just couldn't stop reading. But the reason why I just didn't love this book as much as I loved the first two books, first of all, the first half of the book, I just felt like it was really, really slow. It was a lot of plotting. They were plotting against the commandant, and they were plotting against the knight. And it was just like a lot of plotting, not a whole lot of things happening. And we have like some of the characters going through phases, like Elias. He's just going through phases of trying to accept that he's a soul catcher now, and he's not really doing his duty as soul catcher, which kind of bring like it accumulates to where he loses control of the souls that he's supposed to kind of like be taken care of. So, and he honestly frustrated me with that because he was just so annoying. I was like, just deal with what's in front of you because you're just making the situation worse. And he just didn't see that. But regardless, I still love him because he did the things that he did because he cares so much about the people in the human world. Anyways, I still love the book and I really enjoyed this cover more than the US cover, but I really hope that Sabaa Tahir does not wait a near almost full 2 years before the final book because it is the final book and I really want to know how they managed to bring down the Nightbringer and especially the Commandant because I don't like her. So, but yeah, those are my final thoughts. 4.5 star for this book.
Do you have the other two books in that edition?
No. So I found out that in this edition, the first two books they only have in paperbacks. They don't have it in their hardcover, and I'm so mad about it.
And you bought that edition?
Yes. Well, they don't have the old edition in the new books, so it's like I'm just gonna accept the fact.
You can use your local library like me and wait for the paperback.
I love the series, and I want to support her.
Well, yeah, but I'm
gonna have to accept the fact that my shelves will not match when it comes to the series.
I'm gonna support her and wait for the paperback to come out and then buy it.
That's true. That's right.
Okay, so July. So our July book of the month. I don't have a copy of it. It came out on the 26th, but I don't have a copy of it. And it is My Plain Jane by Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton, and Jody Meadows. If you can even see that. What?
I'm so excited for that.
Me too. Did we come up with a live show date for that? Because I know we talked about it.
Yeah, it's the last Sunday, July 29th.
Okay. So our live show date is going to be Sunday, July 29th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hopefully my computer won't be updating this time for 2 hours. And we can just start right on time. So I'll need to write that down on my calendar. So yeah, join us for reading My Plain Jane by those three authors. If you've read is the sequel, is it companion sequel?
It's a companion. I don't think it's a sequel because it's based off of completely different characters.
Okay, so I always call them companion sequels. So it's a companion sequel to My Lady Jane, which is hilarious. If you have not read it, it is so good. So I'm really excited to pick this up since I loved the first one.
Yeah, the first book was really, really good.
And that's all we have for this live show today. So thank you guys for joining us, and we will see you on July 29th for our next live show. Bye.